Welcome back, everyone. Here's a little flashback to 2020 where I demonstrated Eleanor's proof-of-concept wiring harness computer. We all know what happened to me, to all of us back then. You could even hear the difference in my attitude and voice. What a time it was. But like the great state of Jefferson, this was all but forgotten and became only a footnote in history when something larger shifted attention. Tomorrow we'll have a new update to show where we're today on this project, so thanks everybody for watching. I had these little chips here that I was talking about. These little guys were the input chips. They can take 8 different switches inputted into this thing and then sends the little signals off to a computer. So essentially it turns all my switches into digital signals. And it sends them as little blips, ones and zeros. Literally, it's a bit counter, if you will. 8 of them going across. And I mentioned that these little guys can be chained together. Now this is an output chip, this is an input chip. The purple color really doesn't matter. I just decided to buy this to make it a different color so it's easy to identify the differences. Well, anyway, I took these little guys. And I soldered on some connectors to the ends of them. And what that made it easy to do is daisy chain these guys together. So that allows me to have not just 8, but 32 different switches are available onto this little setup here. Now these being the output boards, these also have 8, and I daisy chained them together as you see right here. So this is actually a working proof of concept that I've put together. And to show you how it works, I busted out my tablet. So let's go ahead and turn the headlights on. Boom, there's my headlights on. Turn the high beams on, right? Turn the headlights back off. Turn the taillights on. Turn the high beams off. Just want taillights on, no problem. Let's say I just want one headlight on, the right headlight. I've got that option. Let's turn the hazards on. Pretty cool, right? Now I can change the hazards to flash with any pattern that I want. I can make them a double fast flash, then a pause, double fast flash. So there's a lot of different things that I can do on that. Hazards off, left flasher on, right? Right flasher on, no problem. Then I can turn all that off. Boop, turn it off, fuel pump on, right? Ignition on, and then start the engine. So this thing is full featured. Of course, I'm still adding some options to this. There's no backup lights, brake lights, and a whole bunch of other things that I'm going to be adding to it just yet. But it's coming up in the future. This thing is working great. This is a wonderful proof of concept. The outputs to each one of those LEDs can be run right into these relays that I have here and can control each one of those individual devices that I was just talking about, well, easily by my tablet. And any tablet, or even my phone, or even my computer at home, if this thing gets connected to the internet, that's right, this thing can put my Beetle on a Wi-Fi network and put it on the internet. And that's going to give me the ability for people to demo it over the internet, and I'm probably going to do that sometime in the future when I get the car back, and I have a bunch of other things connected and working. I'll set up a webcam on it for 24 hours, and I'll allow people to get in there for a minute at a time, and allow them to push some of the buttons and turn the lights on and off on the car with a webcam set up so you can actually see that it's working. I think that's kind of cool, and I can guarantee you that nobody's done that yet with their car on the internet. I just might be the first yet again. So this is a great proof of concept. Those little chips are doing what they're supposed to. These relays are driven by what they call optocouplers. And what an optocoupler is, it's a relay of sorts. But what it works as is there's an LED inside of the chip, and the chip LED will shine a light onto an optical sensor. And as soon as that light hits it, boom, it closes the relay. So it's pretty cool how those work. It isolates the circuit. All this stuff runs on 3 volts. These relays, of course, are going to be switching 12. And that isolates the circuits with a beam of light, so that way the 12 and the 3 don't crisscross somewhere and have a short or fry something, which can kind of be a big deal. But I need to build a motherboard for this. I'm going to be using this ESP32 chip. I've also got some I think it's an ESP8266. I might be saying the wrong thing, but that's the little brother to this thing. It's a smaller chip. It's not as fast, and when I run the web interface on the tablet, I do notice it's a little bit slower. But it certainly holds its own though, and will work for this. But I do notice there is a little bit difference of speed. It's slightly laggier. Let's just say it's like 0.05 of a second. I mean, I can feel it. I can sense it. It's there. But I think if you're just driving in the car and you're flipping switches, you probably wouldn't notice it. It's so quick and so almost near real time that it should work that way. Now, I'm not going to run everything in the car off of the tablet. Everything is not going to be touchscreen based. I find that annoying. I like hard switches on things, and this is an old car. An old car is supposed to have hard switches, so it's still going to have a turn signal switch, still going to have your headlight switch, still going to have your hazard switch, all those great things that the car should already have. It's also going to have a bunch of push buttons on the dashboard for turning on things like the fuel pump, the ignition. Of course, the ignition never could be turned on independently, but now it can be. And I kind of like that, because when you're sitting in the car, if you turn your key and you leave it on, what happens? Yeah, anybody that's owned a Volkswagen before knows what happens. You fry your points. Hopefully they're in the open position, otherwise they're going to just burn themselves up. And then when you go to start the car, guess what doesn't happen? That's right, the car doesn't start. Electronic ignitions are not immune to that either. Electronic ignitions don't like to be sitting without the car running. So I will have the ability to boop, hit the ignition and turn it off. And I would say that if the oil light were on for any long period of time, I could even run that into here, so that way it could kill the engine in the event the oil light comes on, so you don't fry your engine. I'm still going to have a hard-wired oil light on the dashboard that does not go through this, because supposing the computer fails and I don't get that data, from that light coming on the dashboard, that would be bad. And I'd like to be able to override it in the event something happens, so I will force data from that switch on the engine into the computer at the same time, parallel, as I put it up on the dashboard, so I have a visible light. But it'll be kind of cool to record it as data. And then once the data gets in here, boy, there's a lot of things that I can do. And I'm not even done yet. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I say maybe I'm like 20% into this. There is a lot more that I need to do. And setting up this input chips here is a big part of it. Anyways, with all that said and done, no, I haven't sold Eleanore. I'm still building stuff for her. I'm still got Earl working on her. Yes, there is somebody in Australia that did make me a huge offer right after the first time I took her to the car show and posted the video up. I mean, he still talks to me about it, and he offered me an obscene amount of money for that car, but I don't feel it's time to sell Eleanore. And I think I probably am going to need even a little bit more, but I'm not going to talk about how much money it is. He was going to pay all the duties and the taxes and the shipping. I mean, that was all on him. But he's a private collector, obviously has way too money. Really nice guy, though. Still harasses me all the time for that car, but nope, not ready to let her go. Anyways, you guys, let's go ahead and go back to be outside. Thanks for watching. Everybody was complaining you don't dance enough in the videos.